All right, we are live. Welcome everyone to another weekly edition of our Wednesday interview session where I have the fortunate opportunity to get to interview agents and teams all across the country and learn about different markets. Today, I'm delighted to have Gusty Gulas out of Birmingham, which is a very popular market for a lot of investors, especially coming from the Bay Area. The name comes, the city comes up all the time. So I personally would love to drill into that further. However, before we begin with the weekly show, if you're a renter or if you're looking to do a trade up, it's hard to argue a better time than it is right now. I mean, interest rates are at record lows and it's happening across the country. So when we go through these different market updates, you'll see like this is not just happening to the Bay Area as why people are moving. This is happening across the board. But we are going to learn a lot more about Birmingham specifically. So Gusty, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Hey, well, thanks for having me, and I look forward to bringing some value to your contacts. So appreciate the invite.
Wonderful. So why don't we take it all the way back, right? How long have you been in the business, and what did you actually do before real estate?
Oh yeah, so I actually got my license in 06, so 14 years. And before I got my real estate license, I was in the mortgage business. So I did a couple of years in the mortgage business after I graduated college. And, in 2006, I was working for a subprime lender. And, they kind of, everything kind of hit the fan. Right. So we were kind of forced into a new career because the company I was at, they shut down all retail operations across the country. So, like any good story, sometimes you don't make a choice of where you're going to go. You're kind of forced to make a choice. And, luckily we were in that position. And my mother-in-law is a realtor in Gadsden, which is about an hour northeast of here. And she was like, I called her up and I was like, hey, I just got laid off. What do I do? And she was like, you'll talk to anybody. So why don't you go get your real estate license? It's kind of history since.
That is really interesting. Now, actually, walk me a little bit of that time period because from what I remember, when I know it was crazy lucrative too. I think was it wild? I mean, was it wild when you're actually in there and where you're like, did it feel like it would end?
No, it didn't feel like it was going to end. In 2006, we were subprime, so we weren't The mortgage company I was at, we mainly did a lot of refinances. Okay. And so, the kind of the refinances, were just kind of starting to go away. And, with our interest rates being a little bit higher by being a subprime lender, it just kind of didn't, it just wasn't going in the right direction. And so, it was definitely one of those things where, we didn't really know that there was going to be an issue, in our opinion. We were getting leads and we were calling them and seeing how we could benefit people and try to put them in a better situation. But, our numbers were starting to go down a little bit, but, we didn't realize that from a corporation standpoint, we were in a kind of a pickle.
Interesting. But it was good because you did have a lot of the lending experience before you got into real estate. So how was that transition? Especially you were just getting started while things were starting to go down. How was that the first few years? Was it easier, harder than you thought it would be?
This business is difficult. I think having the experience from the mortgage side of the business definitely helped because I could understand like the structure of how you can actually get a mortgage. What underwriters are looking at, how to overcome different, financing obstacles. So I understood that. Right. So that experience has definitely come as a benefit as I've grown my real estate sales business. But, in 06, I've always been kind of I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. We've always worked hard. The mortgage company I was at, we had to either call 150 people a day or get 5 applications a day. So, we worked leads. So, getting into a new business that, going out there and cold calling people or going out there and, working, warm leads or whatever, it wasn't really a problem. But this business from the real estate side of things is very relationship based. Mm-hmm. And, the good thing is I had some clientele that I'd worked with that, had houses. So I immediately had, a database. And then not only as, growing up and you meet people and through college, you're building friendships. Well, those friendships turn into a database. And, I was just, as soon as I got my real estate license, I just started, making phone calls with folks. And, that turned into, good business. I think within 6 months, I'd closed 3 deals. And then the first 5 months of 2007, we closed like 19 homes. So, you got to build the pipeline up. So it took a little bit of time, but it's you got to feed the pipeline, and then it just kind of starts to roll after that. So I was for the company I was at, where I started at, I was the Rookie of the Year, and then I was a finalist for the Association of Realtors Rookie of the Year, and that was for my 2007 numbers, and then 2008 hit.
Yeah. When did things what was your business like from 2008 to 2012? Like, when did it actually recover in Birmingham? And did you do like short sales, foreclosures? Like, what did you do during those years?
We did a lot of foreclosures. 43% of our market back in 2010 was foreclosures. I mean, that's unreal. Our market now is less than 1% foreclosures. So, it was a huge difference. I'll tell you, I went in 2008, I went and started working at a rental company and helped open up their sales division. And I'll tell you, I was pretty fortunate to work in the rental industry because I helped people find different apartments and I got paid for it. Well, guess what happened? Those people ended up buying houses. So I was building a database of people that would eventually move up the path. And now 2009 was definitely a difficult year. But luckily, I just kind of, in 2009 is when I just said, hey, this is what I'm doing for my career. I'm going all in. I'm not worried about everything. I'm just staying focused, and I'm going to win. And, luckily some relationships worked out. Some doors opened. I got to work on the National Stabilization Project grant, National Stabilization Grant Project. And we were able to help out some nonprofits locally acquire some foreclosure properties. And I'll tell you, for my business, since 2010, I've been busy. 2010, I was at the largest real estate brokerage in our market. And for the majority of that year, I was the number 1 agent. Wow. And out of 850 agents. And I ended up that year, number 2, I lost by 1 house. And the person that beat me was a foreclosure listing agent. So she had a little bit of advantage, but I only lost by 1. But that just drove me. And, I feel like I've always been just like one step ahead. Like I was early to Zillow. I was early to Trulia. I started a team. I was early to starting a team. But, the transition, you just kind of had to hold on. But it's the commitment to lead generation and prospecting that allowed me to sustain and stay and make it a career, I think.
That is interesting. Let's jump into that. Like, what advertising platforms do you use? Do you still use a Zillow and Trulia, these sources? And you mentioned you were kind of early to it, so the cost per lead must have been lower at that time. Like much lower. Much lower.
Much lower.
What are you? Did you implement any new things that maybe a lot of people don't know about right now?
So, we still work with Zillow. We've been advertised. If I wasn't the first advertiser on Zillow in the Birmingham market, I was the second. Wow. So I've been advertising with them since 2009. So that kind of gives you some an idea of how long. We were early to Trulia. Those two have merged. So, we still work with those folks. As far as I've always just been willing to try things. I consider myself a student of the industry. So I'm watching, what trends are going on. So, we got into the foreclosures. We were, I was trying to work with local banks to say, hey, let's try to, sell your properties. And I've got a list of investors that are willing to look at stuff. And so we tapped into that market. And just try to stay like one step ahead. I think that's always been the one big thing that I've been really focused on is Be proactive, be one step ahead. Don't let, you're going to understand that things are going to change, market's going to change, but if you're always watching kind of what's going on, don't be afraid to take a chance and just be one step ahead. And luckily I've been, on the forefront, and I've picked out really good things. Now, granted, everything that I've picked hasn't been worked out, but the majority of stuff I have has worked pretty well.
Very nice. So let's learn a little bit about the local market itself. Okay. So like, what is the average price points, and what are the economic drivers of what has changed since you've been there? Because clearly I think there's a lot more inflow for Birmingham in general. Like, what's causing that?
Yeah. So currently our average price point is about $235. Now, granted, a lot of inner city Birmingham, you can still find properties under $100,000. Okay. Wow. One of the big things that I think is really special and unique is we're 49th in terms of all the different states and property taxes. So property taxes are very affordable in Birmingham. And that's why a lot of people that decide to invest in the Birmingham market, because they just get, quality returns on their investment. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that is the property taxes. With the introduction of opportunity zones, a lot of Birmingham is in opportunity zones. So there's some significant plays for buying properties here, and I think that people are going to see an accelerated appreciation. But looking at the last 10 years, the changes in our market, I would say 10 years ago, we'll say 12 years ago, 2008, Birmingham really wasn't a cool place to live. Okay, now people want to be in Birmingham. There's a lot going on. There's more activities going on. I will tell you, one of the big things that changed in our market was an introduction of a park called Railroad Park. It was like 2009, 2010, introduced as one of the top new parks in the country. And what that did was it brought people a little bit closer into downtown Birmingham. Well, then after that happened, we had some legislation pass about high gravity beer. So what that ended up doing was it introduced breweries to our market. And so then that attracted more people to come in and do some more things from an entertainment standpoint. We had one brewery locally that actually ended up transforming a whole neighborhood. And it was a kind of like an old, historic, beautiful neighborhood that was run down and kind of forgotten about. And this brewery came in and basically brought its attention, and they had a great story, and now it's a thriving entertainment district and community. Wow. So we ended up starting seeing, some cool things happening. And then I think part of it is also the affordability, where we're about 2.5 hours from Atlanta. We're about 3 hours from Nashville. Well, those markets have increased in value and kind of outpriced some of the young professionals. So, people can come in as a young professional in our market, get a nice house, have a nice future, and have an opportunity to grow. So, we've seen a lot of significant growth in our market. We've got a super young mayor. He's 39 years old, very progressive, and he's been really trying to help with a lot of change for the better in our market. So I'm really excited about that. But we're starting to become more of a technology town. We had a company last year called Shipped that is either last year or 2 years ago sold to Target for about $550 million. And that has helped bring in people from a technology standpoint. And what we've seen is other companies have sprouted from that. A lot of great minds have come here, started other technology pieces. And we've got a place called Innovation Depot, where it's a great incubator, probably like Y Incubator in San Fran. We've got something that's called Innovation Depot in Birmingham. Obviously, it's not kind of world renowned like Y, but we've had people that were at Y have come to Innovation Depot.
Oh, interesting.
So we've seen technology grow. We've been a big banking town. We're a big commercial construction town, big steel industry here. So things like that.
What would you say is the top 2 employers in Birmingham? Like,
UAB is one. That's the University of Alabama at Birmingham, and that's with our health system. We've got a health system and an education college, UAB Blazers. So that's number 1. They're the number 1 largest in the state. Number 2, Regions Bank. Regions Bank, their corporate headquarters is in the Birmingham market, and they have a lot of folks that they employ. I don't necessarily know if they're number 2, but I mean they've got to be up there with their corporation.
Interesting. And then where do you see most people come from? Is it from those different cities that you brought up, or is it from further away? Like, so when people you work with or your team works with and say, hey, look, we're new to the area. Number 1, how do they decide on that as a city to even choose? And then is it mostly from those other areas that are in a sense drivable?
Yeah, I mean, typically, yes, it is. We haven't really been a nationwide, place where everybody, people decide to come in and, they've grown up in one place and they're like, oh, we want to go to the big city. Birmingham's really hadn't been on the map for that, but, we have people that are all over Georgia, the Southeast that do want to come here. And, a lot of it is the affordability piece. And then, with jobs and the automotive industry is big here. We've got a Mercedes plant, we've got Honda, we've got Hyundai, we've got Nissan. So, we're a big automotive. And so now you've seen a lot of, the state of Alabama has given they've been super aggressive with incentives to bring a lot of these companies to town. And so that has attracted people on a global scale, which has been beautiful to see. And it's allowed people to invest in our communities. So, really, it's more of the Southeast, but thinking about it, the automobile has brought on not only people from all over the country, but it's brought on other suppliers to be here as well. And then, when you've got good jobs, guess what? People are going to travel and people are going to move. And so we've been lucky and thankful for that.
Yeah, I've actually been to the Mercedes plant before.
Have you really?
Yeah, I had an actual tour inside. It was really neat. It was really cool. Now here in the Bay Area, we have the Tesla factory too, which is also
I like to tour that.
Yeah, but it was either way, it was really cool to see because it is mostly automated. It's like 90% robots in a sense. So it's really interesting to see that. So, and then from an investor perspective, like I know for sure a lot of Bay Area people invest there. Like, what kind of properties do you see them tend to buy? Is it the sub 100? Is that too?
I'll tell you, it's all over the board. It is all over the board. But think about it. I mean, you can't find. I was reading something I think last week. I mean, I think a parking space came on the market for $100,000 in the Bay Area. I mean,
probably.
I really think that. I think that was the case. I read something about it. But I mean, how many times do you see like even houses under $500,000 in your market? Do you see it very often?
No, I mean the average, give you an idea, is over $1 million. But yes.
All right. So think about like. You can get a very nice home for $225,000, $250,000 that is appreciating, and you can get good rents on it. And then you got low taxes. You can use that, the investment of that to depreciate and help with your tax liabilities. And so we've seen it to where people will buy $50,000 houses, but we've also seen it where people wanted to buy around the universities and bought a nice house because they know it's going to be a quality investment for years to come.
Interesting. Can you walk some of the numbers if you have it? So like if somebody went at a sub 100, like what kind of rent would that be? And if it was a standard 200, obviously they're different profiles of renters, right? But what kind of rent figures are you looking at for those?
Yeah. I mean, you can almost kind of think $500 a bedroom. So if it's a 3-2, you're probably looking at $1,500, depending on what it is. Now, granted, you've got like I'm looking at a property right now that's $175,000, and it's probably about a $1,500 rental. Okay, so it's going to depend, but I mean, you've got. Depending on it's location based,
right?
The 1% rule does work in a lot of our places. So if you've got folks that are like, married to that 1% rule, we've got opportunities.
That's interesting. And what you mentioned, property taxes being low, is it a percentage of purchase price? Like how is that calculated?
It depends on the location.
Okay,
there's a millage rate depending on the city, the municipality. So like for example, if it's I was talking about a property today, a 3-bedroom, 1-bath was $78,000 that we're about to list. And the property taxes for this house was $238 a year. Now that's on a homestead rate.
Right.
So on a non-homestead rate for an investor would be double that. So $500.
Oh wow!
I mean that's super affordable.
What is that, like 0.8% or something like that?
If that, I mean, is that the highest in our market's 1%, and that's in the most, in essence, the most expensive market.
Wow.
So typically it's going to be about 0.5.
That is crazy. Is that? Have you looked into that? As in, is that some of the lowest in the country?
49th.
Who's 50th? Like, who does even lower than this?
Our stepsister, Mississippi, next.
Oh, really? Wow. Dang, that is crazy low.
we don't want to be last, but we'll take next to last.
Wow. That is amazing. Got it. Yeah. And so you've clearly have grown your business significantly. Can you share whatever you can share related to production? Like, sure. Maybe over the last, let's say 3 years ago, and versus what it was last year and this year, and then so I'll ask that question first in terms of production, and then love to see how you actually scaled and decided to scale.
Yeah, sure. So each of the last 3 years, we've closed at least 400 homes each year. Last year we closed 405. I think this year we're on track for 450 to 500 range. COVID kind of messed with us like everybody else, but we've been on we made a plan at the end of last year to be on a growth trajectory and a strategic plan to get to 1,000 homes. So we've been adding agents and growing our marketing and getting our systems and processes better and bringing on more support, more quality support, those kind of things. I'd say that, we're the number one team in our market since 2012. We're number one according to Real Trends, which is a real estate platform that is recognized as pretty much the leader in rankings. Mm-hmm. And again, our game plan is to get to 1,000. So we've got some excellent folks on our team that are just hard workers, and one of our main goals is customer service and just to give a great experience. I think especially if you're thinking like from an investor standpoint, to say where you're at, it's not like you can fly over here and go look at houses. I mean, you can make it a couple of day trip, but realistically, sometimes our market's quick. It's so quick that you've got to make an offer super fast. So we're pretty tech friendly, where if we've got folks that are interested, we'll go do a FaceTime, we'll go do a video tour for our clients, and we've got listing coordinators, we've got closing coordinators. So our goal is just to make the whole process as stressless and easy as possible. And I think that's probably our biggest difference. We've got a phenomenal support team that has made my life and our clients' lives so much better. So
when did you make the very first hire? Like, how many years were you in? And what was that decision making like, of why then?
That was probably my most difficult decision, I think. Wow. Mid 2010 is when I hired my first part-time assistant, and so I was just busy and things were slipping through the cracks, and I didn't want things to slip through the cracks. So I brought on somebody to help with all that. So my first hire was the first part-time assistant. Then that grew into a full-time position. Then I started building team members, because we had excess of leads, thank God. And and then it just kind of kept growing from there. We got recognized as best realtor in this town, and we just luckily we're getting recognized and awards, and we weren't afraid to spend and invest in marketing. And so like now, we're on the radio. We've got 26 different lead sources. We're, pretty much all over Google and Facebook. And we've got endorsements from Barbara Corcoran from Shark Tank, and Sean Hannity with Fox News. And we're one of Dave Ramsey's top ELPs in the country. And, so we're kind of like a big market. I mean, like, we do more marketing than most brokerages in our town. Right. I mean, just our team does more marketing. I would say our ad spend, from a team standpoint, spends more than the largest brokerage in our market. And so we get a lot of quality leads, and there's just significant growth opportunity for where we're going and the people that partner with us.
You say your target is 1,000, and you're at 400 or 500 around there. Based off of current trajectories, like, when do you think you'll hit it? Like next year, in a couple of years?
2 years.
That's amazing.
2 years. Like we just brought on a chief marketing officer.
Oh, nice.
My wife.
Nice.
So
a very smart hire.
the smartest. And so we're really excited about that, because she's ran social media for BBVA Compass, which is a huge bank.
Yeah.
And like she's like developed social media things for like Kevin Durant and James Harden as far as BBVA packaging. And so she comes from a wealth of knowledge just from that standpoint, but then she's also worked with as a digital marketing manager for UAB Health System, which is the largest company in our market. So she brings a wealth of knowledge. So people in our market that they know that we're like the premier marketing, real estate team in our market.
Nice.
It just got way better. Way better. So really excited about that. But, I'm thinking a couple years.
Right.
It's when you're running a team, people are always going through different stages of life.
Right.
And, like recently we had somebody that has moved into the mortgage business. And so it's kind of stepped back from the team, and we've got somebody that's about to move out of the area. And so, you're constantly trying to, get people to where they want to go, but you've also got to groom a bench for, your next, folks, next opportunities. So, I mean, we're interview all the time. We bring on people on a monthly basis.
Wow.
And, we know that we've got, based on our numbers, our folks do a minimum of 24 units a year. So, taking that number, we're looking at, anywhere from, 34 to 40 agents to hit that 1,000 mark.
Got it. And you did mention you've been really good over the last decade plus in the business of kind of thinking ahead and at least trying new things. Some may not work, but many end up working. Yeah. Were there anything, especially when the shelter in place first happened, at least this year, that you've added that you are now as part of the 26 funnels? Like anything new, or maybe the newest kind of modality that you've tried?
We hadn't done anything different because we've always been one step ahead. So COVID coming has just allowed things that we've already been doing. We've just had better adoption. So, like Matterport virtual tours. We were the first people to have that in Birmingham in 2015. So, now there's people that are just talking about that. Well, that was 5 years ago for us.
Right.
They're doing FaceTime with people. We've been selling houses sight unseen for years because of different scenarios. So, we've either gone in and done a FaceTime, or we've done a Zoom, or we've done, go in and take pictures, and then we've done digital signatures with DocuSign since probably 2012.
Right.
So we've always been willing to know where the business is going and be in there. So when something like COVID hit, it was just another day for us on how to work the business. Mm-hmm. And, for a lot of people, it was just like, oh my gosh, what do I do? It didn't hurt us at all. Where it hurt us was people getting furloughed,
right,
that were under contract, people getting laid off. But as far as a technology standpoint, we didn't add anything differently. Our sales meetings are on Zoom now instead of in person. And we're still, do most of our stuff online because, I mean, why risk it at this point?
Yeah.
So,
is there I forgot my question now. The question was, I forgot it now. I'll come back to it. But yeah, I mean, it's really incredible to see the growth and the changes, especially as you kind of scale up. Oh, my question was, do you also incorporate other businesses into it? I know as people grow their teams, you do real estate, but some incorporate like a lending arm, some do title. Like, is that a plan at all, or is that just completely different? You don't really want to touch it? Like mortgage, like lending as well as part of the business, or is that not?
I mean, there's people that do that and they do it well. And, I've got a lot of runway with real estate. I've got a lot of market share to grow into, and I'm damn good at real estate. I'm not damn good at mortgages, So, and I think that when you start going in all these different directions, yes, you're looking for different revenue opportunities,
right?
But you're also, are you going to be great at everything? Are you going to be good at everything? Are you going to be great at one thing? You've got to just make that decision for yourself. And, I mean, quite frankly, if I started a title company, it wouldn't be the best title company that's out there. Right. If I started a mortgage company, it probably wouldn't be the best mortgage company out there. What I can tell you is I've got the best real estate team out there, and definitely in our market. And so I can control that. It'd be hard for me to control the other revenue opportunities. Now, granted, what I can, partnering with EXP, like I had an independent brokerage. I had a brokerage called EXP Realty for 4.5 years. We grew it to be in the number 3 brokerage in our market as far as units sold, number 4 in volume. And last year, about this time, we merged with EXP because we saw, a more significant impact in where the business was going, and things being more cloud based, and it just gave more opportunities for all of my folks. And now I'm still in the real estate world. I'm investing in our future with like stocks, and then we've got revenue share. So I'm attracting agents and helping coach and mentor. So, quite frankly, it might be a strategy that other people need, but it's other people, like my mentality is like, if you're going to do it the best that's possible. And if you're not, don't do it.
No, very good. I think we'll leave it at that. I think that's a model for everybody. So thank you so much for all the wisdoms and obviously congratulations on the current success. I think once you hit the 4-digit number, that's just a crazy number because it's just mind boggling. Like that's the crazy part about anything that's outside of the Bay Area, right? Like that's just a mind boggling amount of transactions that anyone would do.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, like, I thought it was mind boggling, like just to think about it.
Right.
Until I saw other friends doing it.
Right.
And then when you see that, hey, it can be done, then you're like, all right, well, can I do that? And so, it just got my juices flowing. Like, hey, if this person can do it, well, heck, why can't I? Right. And that's been part of it. Like, when you want something so bad, you're going to do, the things to get that, get to where you want to go. And so, 1,000 units, it doesn't seem crazy to me. It might seem crazy to a lot of people, but it doesn't seem crazy to me. It's just, going to, the hardest part was going to 100. The easy part was going 250 to 450. That was easy, way easier than 0 to 100. So I think what you're going to find is that, being able to scale it, it's not going to be as difficult as people think. It's just getting to that 100 mark.
That is interesting. That's how I feel right now.
There you go.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I mean, based on our conversations, I think you're making a good headway and doing very well. So kudos to you.
Thank you so much. So how can people get a hold of you? Is it they get a hold of you direct? Is it they can find you through a team website? Like how do people get in touch? Yeah,
great. GustyGulas.com. You can reach out to us there. You can Google Gusty Gulas. My cell number is blasted everywhere. Our office number is blasted everywhere. So, if you've got folks that are considering, investing in our market, we'd love to have a conversation and talk about, being one of their, wealth growth partners. And we can show them opportunities that we believe not only will help them from a cash flow basis, but an escalation in their pricing and of an asset. So we'd love to have those conversations if you've got anybody over there. And once again, thank you so much for the invite, and I hope this has been a benefit to the people that are watching and for you.
No, thank you so much. Yeah, a lot of people don't know. I mean, they kind of know of Alabama mainly because of the football side, right? But at the same time, it's been such a well-kept secret. Yeah,
you've got the so you got your football,
right?
Cleats, you got your Alabama, Prince. So yeah, I mean, we're serious down here with our football.
It's absolutely. I know that from just watching on TV. But I think it has been a very well-kept secret for a lot of people, and a lot of people don't know, like, automotives basically all have plants there. And you're right, it's an ecosystem, because once the big guys have plants, then all the suppliers want to be near them, and they're all moving from wherever they're moving from. So it's just a really big effect that is, it just from a real estate perspective just makes it incredible. So, but not a lot of people know it, and it's great to hear about it, and it's crazy to hear the tax amount. That's just insane. That's just insane of how low it is. But you just mentioned it is the 49th out of 50th of the lowest in the US. So there's that. Well, thank you so much for all of your insights, and thank you everyone else for tuning in. I will see you at the next one. Bye now. Thanks for making it to the very end of my YouTube video. If you like the content, please hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that little bell as well, since it'll give you notifications of when my next episode is. If you know of anyone that is considering to buy or sell a home here in the Bay Area, I'm never too busy to help more people. Always welcome to have a conversation, regardless if you're ready to go right now or if you wanted to buy 5 years later. Click on that Calendly link, and then you'll be able to book an appointment with me, and love to have a conversation about your situation. In the meantime, I also do have a monthly newsletter, so feel free to hit that link below, and then you'll be able to get my updates, personal updates that I write once a month in terms of what is going on with the market and some of my latest activities. Hope to see you at the next one. Thank you.